What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. You guys, we are back with the second half of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 4, episode 16, and the episode is titled Whit-Low Priorities, you guys. So, before we go ahead and just jump into this episode review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys aren't yet subscribed, need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and by turning on your post notifications, you guys, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let us go ahead and discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville, shall we? So you guys, this episode, it picks up literally where we left off in the first half of season 4. So you guys remember that finale episode was Melody, Martell. It was the first time that they were back in the same room with one another. You guys remember they were opening an amphitheater out there in Huntsville, and Melody was, going to be co-hosting with someone else. So Martell showed up with the kids, right? And it's quite interesting to think about that scene compared to where Melody and Martell are currently. I talked about that in Hot Topics, about them with the custody battle with the kids, going to court and whatnot. It's just a whole mess. So yeah, it's just interesting. But in the end of it, I do feel bad for the kids because the kids are going to eventually have to see this, right? So Miss Vanessa is talking to Melody, and she's telling Melody how surprised she was, that Martell did bring the kids. And Miss Vanessa, she is hurt. She's it's not just, and that's the thing about it. With this divorce and everything, it's not just the kids that are affected, because when you look at it, when Melody and Martell were married, they were very close knit, right? Miss Vanessa looked at Martell as a son, and Marlene, Martell's mom, looked at Melody as a daughter. I don't know how she did that, and she can defend this. You know what? We'll get into it in just a little bit, you guys. But let's keep going. Let's keep going, you guys. So, you guys remember at the end of the first half, remember, Letitia had set up for the couples retreat trip with her and Marceau, Kimmy and Maurice, and Tiffany and Lewis. To be quite honest with you guys, I literally forgot all about Tiffany and Lewis, but hey, they are on the trip as well. Don't know why, but we'll talk about them in just a minute. So the first two to arrive were Maurice and Kimmy, followed by Tiffany and Lewis. And then I was like, wait a minute. So not Maurice, but Marceau and Letitia. Well, technically, it's this Letitia's trip, because you guys remember, Marceau doesn't know that they're meeting Dr. Francis. Marceau is just thinking that this is just a couples retreat, so he's none the wiser. But either way it go, they're late. So everybody sees Dr. Francis, and Dr. Francis is wondering, where are Letitia and Marceau at, right? So Kimmy calls them up. So Letitia tells them that they had an issue with the nanny and that they are on their way, but they're in traffic, and traffic is bad. So then she says, oh, well, Dr. Francis asked about you. And Marceau's like, Dr. Francis? Yep. He didn't know that this was one of those trips. Because you guys remember the last time he met with Dr. Francis, Tisha sprung that on him, and it was a surprise. So when they hung up the phone, Tiffany told them that, I have a business call that I have to do, so I'm going to go. I was like, well, that was hella rude. Like, you can't say, hey, Dr. Francis, I have a business call. Is it okay if I excuse myself to take my business call? She just got up and walked out. I was like, that was rude. And then at one point, Dr. Francis went in the room where she was, and she wasn't doing anything. So I'm wondering if she was really on a business call. I don't bit more by shit that Tiffany says. I just don't. So Marceau and Tisha, they finally make it. Me personally, I would have went back home and told them, something came up, which it really did. One of their friends from college, Tisha's best friend, passed away. And I was like, oh, that's sad. Like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's something that I always be afraid of. Because my best friend and I, we've been friends. I told you guys we've been friends since 2004 or 2003, 2004. No, 2003. We've been friends since 2003. And if something happened to her, I just don't know what I'd do. So yeah, I felt bad for Tisha, you guys, but I want to pause here and I want to go ahead and move forward. So, you guys, next up, Martell. So Martell is in the car going to pick up his kids, and he got his mama with him. Now, I'm going to try to be as respectful as I can about Martell's mama, because I would never want nobody to disrespect my mama, right? So I'm going to be as respectful as I can, right? So they're talking, so Martell is telling, Marlene that he took the kids to see Melody at the, see Melody host for the amphitheater, right? And in this scene, I was like, you know what? I figured out why Martell did that. But I think I said at the end of the first half why Martell did that. Martell did that for one reason and one reason only: to have something to hold over Melody's head. Because you guys remember when Martell did the book, the kids' book, right? The signing of the book. Remember, that was Melody's week, and she didn't take the kids to see Martell. So Martell is doing this as a way of, well, I did this, so, and you didn't do this. It was my weekend with the kids, and I said, you know what? For the betterment of the kids, I'm gonna take them to see their mother. Like Martell did that for bragging rights. Let's keep it real. So Martell's mama, she's talking about Melody, how you the kid's father, and you shouldn't hold a grudge against him. And I'm just like, lady, that's the problem with your son right now, right? You will kind of call Martell out, but you don't really call him out and hold him accountable. And that's my problem with Miss Marlene. Marlene is the type of person, woman, mother from the old days where, your husband is cheating. You just deal with it, right? If he's providing for you, you deal with it. But we're out of those days, lady. But my thing is, what Martell is, and his mother, she coddles him. She doesn't hold him accountable for anything. She doesn't call him out. She facilitates his BS. And that's what I don't like about Miss Marlene. Like, as a woman, you know what? It's okay to have your son's, it's one thing to have your son's side, right? But it's another thing to just blindly go along with the crap that he says and does, right? Like, Martell is the reason that his life is in disarray. He is the one that went and slept with Dolphin Mouth, got Dolphin Mouth pregnant, and destroyed his family. So you can't be coming at Mel. That's my whole issue. Like, you're trying to come at Mel. Stop. Please stop it, ma'am. Like, you want to put this on Mel. Mel this. Like, no. Your son has a whole lot more in this than Melody. And you guys know I'm not the biggest fan. I don't dislike Melody, but I'm not the biggest fan of Melody. And I want to say that. So we move back over to the retreat. Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis wasn't letting up on Tiffany, man. Dr. Francis he was not over that phone call. So Lewis was defending her. I'm like, she was rude. Like, you couldn't, and I don't want to say you couldn't check her, because I don't believe in that. But you couldn't say to her, like, hey babe, like, I know here's my thing. If Tiffany knew she had a phone call, if she knew she had all this business stuff to do, why did you go on the trip? What was the purpose of going? And also, I tweeted this, during the episode. I thought Lewis and Tiffany were just so perfect, because that's what they came up as last year, the perfect couple. We got married at the baseball stadium, wherever the hell they got married at. I don't remember. The surprise wedding, right? And they were giving unsolicited marriage advice to everyone. Meanwhile, they were divorced and remarried and only been married a year at this point. So yeah, you guys know how I feel about Tiffany and Lewis. You guys know I don't see it for either one of them. But that's neither here nor there, right? But I mean, you just couldn't say, like, hey babe, can you hold off for just a few minutes so that we can have a conversation with Dr. Francis? And then her thing is, when it comes to Dr. Francis, well, the other couples weren't here. You're not there to work on a relationship with the other couples. You're there to work on a relationship with Lewis, not the other couples. Once again, you guys know, like I just said a few minutes ago, Tiffany gets on my last dang on nerve. her Montgomery Ward fashions. So Dr. Francis also tells Tiffany that, basically he was telling her like you're making your job more important than your marriage. Okay. She's like, well, I can give 100% to my job and 100% to my marriage. No, you cannot. You gotta like, you can't be all in at work and then all in at home. Like, you gotta delegate. You gotta figure out how to delegate. And I don't think she wants to delegate with that. The one thing I want her to stop saying is she wants to have a baby. You gotta have sex to have a baby. And I just don't think she wants to lay up with Big Titty Lewis. I don't think she wants to lay up with Big Titty Lewis. That's my personal opinion. You guys can let me know what you think. So then we see, so Dr. Francis, he has an exercise, excuse me, y'all. So he has an exercise where they have their legs tied and they're gonna walk around for 15 minutes, right? Baby, watching Dr. Francis in this episode made me be like, shit, do I need to go to Huntsville and book a visit with Dr. Francis? Because, Dr. Francis, he was speaking some facts. And shout out to Dr. Francis because Dr. Francis got his own interview. Like, I was like, okay, Dr. Francis. Come on, Dr. Francis. Y'all know I like Dr. Francis. So when they were doing this exercise, the only people who were doing pretty good with it is Marceau and Letitia. Kimmy and Maurice can figure out a pace to go at. Tiffany and Lewis, she was complaining the whole time and asking him to, carry her. Okay, whatever. Don't care. So at the end of it, Dr. Francis explained to them what the significance of, this exercise was. And I kind of, I guess kind of like, together, you got, it's together, the two legs are them together as a couple, and then the one that's free is kind of like them as an individual. So it's kind of like a push and pull, sort of, so to speak. Kind of how I took it. Now you guys can let me know if that's how you took it. I don't. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So let's pause here, you guys. Let's go ahead and move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, we see Mel. So Mel went over to Stormy's house, right? So we see Stormy. So Stormy got these sound bowls. So you know how people do sound baths these days. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I don't understand. If you guys do understand it, please let me know in the comment section because I really don't understand the significance of the sound bath. Like, what is it supposed to do? And if you guys can tell me, feel free to chime in the comments because I'm just not. I've saw sound baths, and I feel like it's now the new thing on, especially on reality TV. Let's do a sound bath. Let's do a sound bath. But hey, so yeah, let's talk about it. So Stormy, the way that Mel was talking about it, you would think that Stormy is an expert in this, but she isn't because she had to look at the paper and be like, "Is this such and such?" I was like, "Oh, so she really don't know what she's doing." But hey, I ain't knocking it. But I did have the question, girl, where was this Zen when we were at Galentine's Day? I couldn't remember the name of it when I was watching the episode, but Galentine's Day because it's not in my notes. Where was this energy at when Galentine's Day when you and Destiny got into it? Just asking. So Melody is telling her about and where were you at? Where were you? So she was like, something came up, right? So Melody tells her about, Martell, he came down and he brought the kids. I was really happy to see my kids. And so then Stormy asked her, well, how does your mom feel? And she was like, her mama's gonna feel how anybody would feel. You hurt my child, like I don't really have much to say to you, right? But if you do right by my kid, we good. And then, she asked her about, her relationship with Martell's mother. So Mel says that, she hasn't really talked to Martell's mom since 2021, right? And, they showed us a flashback of when Ms. Marlene was talking to Martell about Melody. And the thing that threw me was when they played that scene talking about, when they played the scene and she was talking about the fact that, Melody was basically trying to work her son to death, right? Now, man, we know that is a damn lie. Because, let's look at how your son's life has, post-divorce, look at Martell. Martell couldn't get a suit that fit his body, number one. Martell was going around peddling them Mary Kay products at Destiny's store. Martell has been down on his luck since that divorce. Melody, on the other hand, has been flourishing and doing well in her career, in her life. So you tried to paint that narrative that Melody wasn't doing shit and your son was doing everything. If that's the case, why did she rise? Why did he go down? Don't make sense, right? Don't make sense to me, sis. But okay, if that's what Miss Marlene want to say, she would give me a public apology. She would be at the. I would tell Carlos, make sure that old heifer is at the reunion. I want an apology from her because, girl, what you will not do is make me out to be some lazy heifer that just lived off your son. Sounds like your son lived off you. Yep. So let's go ahead and let's move to the next scene, you guys. So we see as all the couples, they are getting ready to go down to have dinner with Dr. Francis and his wife. Now I believe his wife's name is Marlo. I'm not sure. I think that's what I heard them say, but you guys can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong about that. So Dr. Francis wants for them to share, to talk about what they got out of the day. What did they get out the day? I want to go back and talk about something real quick. Marceau. So Marceau said, I thought this was like a couples retreat. Well, it is, bruh. Retreat, resort, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's the same damn thing. Marceau loves to gaslight. Not just y'all know he gets on my nerves when he does that stupid shit. Now I don't know what any of them got out of it because Tiffany wasn't completely there. Maurice and Letitia, they're dealing with the death of a friend, and Maurice. It's so interesting when I think about Maurice because I was actually talking to I was talking to somebody at work because she saw me one day. She asked me what was I watching 2 weeks ago, right? I said, because I was laughing. She's like, what are you watching? I said, Married to Medicine, right? So we started talking about, Married to Medicine, all the housewives shows, Love and Marriage Huntsville. And I was talking about how when I first started with Love and Marriage Huntsville, I thought Maurice was like the one Scott brother that wasn't like any of the other ones. But unfortunately, Maurice is just like Marceau, and oh God, nobody is as bad as that damn Mark. Oh my God. Lord, please don't let Mark come out of the woodwork this season, this second half. I don't want to see Mark nowhere near my timeline. I can take Marceau and Maurice, and I can take those two, but that damn Mark, there is something wrong with that man. Lord, there is something wrong with Mark. I can't tolerate him. He is Marceau intensified. So I know that Letitia did ask a question about, about your kids, right? Talk about shit, kind of like when you raise your kids and, how you have to, again, it's kind of like delegation. Like you delegate to your spouse and to your children, right? And Dr. Francis is like, well, if you teach your kids to be, independent of you, then it'll probably get to the point where it'll be like empty nest syndrome, even though they're already in the house. So I got what he was saying. So then here go Tiffany once again. I'm like, girl, because Lewis was talking about how their sons are 15 and 16, right? And those boys are damn near grown. So then Tiffany talking about she wants to have a baby. I'm like, girl, you gotta have sex to have a baby. And again, I don't think you want to sleep with Big Titty Lou. Then I was thinking to myself, and then you talk about how busy y'all are. So how do you, this is the same thing that I was questioning in the first half of this season. How does Tiffany want to have a baby when you guys complain about not being able to spend time with one another? So if you can't spend time with one another, how do you then plan to spend time with a baby? A baby needs more than that 15 and that 16-year-old. A baby can't take care of themselves. A baby poops. A baby, when they get hungry, they cry. A baby needs to be rocked to sleep. There's so many things. Babies can't change their diapers. Babies can't feed themselves. So I'm just wondering, how are y'all gonna take care of a baby? Like, I was just wondering that. Like, how do y'all how do y'all really plan to take care of a baby if you guys can't even manage to spend time with one another? And then she was like, with her wanting to have a baby, she doesn't want it to be a situation where she wants a baby, but her husband doesn't want the baby. Now, she says that they talked about it when they came into the marriage. Girl, when did y'all talk about this? Because, didn't you tell us that you surprised him with the wedding? So when did y'all talk about having a baby? Was this literally after the surprise wedding? Again, here we go with the Whit-Lows. Like, I just don't know what the truth is with the Whit-Lows. I don't care what the truth is with the Whit-Lows, but the Whit-Lows get on my nerves. It's about time for us to get rid of. It's about time for us to let go of the Whit-Lows. The Whit-Lows can go low, bobo, bye bye. I don't know where they can go away. So, but yeah, she said that with her and Lewis, they did talk about children, but they were talking about they already had their sons, right? And if they had another baby, they just had another baby. I'm like, huh? What? You know what? Never mind. I just don't understand those two. More specifically, Tiffany. You know what? I would like Lewis a lot more if he wasn't attached to Tiffany. I might like Lewis a little bit more if he wasn't attached to Tiffany. But since he's attached to her, I don't like him that much either. So I love how Dr. Francis explained this to him, because I kept listening to Tiffany, and I was thinking to myself in my head about Tiffany, especially when it came to, we know Tiffany's story about her being adopted, right? I was like, I feel like Tiffany is, she's not dealing. I thought there's something there that Tiffany's not dealing with, and Dr. Francis, he basically said it. She's dealt with the loss. She dealt with the loss of not having her biological mother. She dealt with the loss of something with her adoptive parents. Then she dealt with the loss of her divorce from her ex-husband, and same with Lewis. He dealt with the loss of his divorce, right? And I was like, oh, Dr. Francis. And then he said that with both of them, and I think if we think more specifically, he was talking to Tiffany, because when you listen to it, it feels like Tiffany is wanting to have this baby because of what she's dealt with, right? And I don't think she's 100% dealt with all the things that has happened to her. So it's kind of like like how people say you're putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, right? But he told her that it's like they fear of being alone. I was like, that makes you. That's why at this point in the episode, I was like, what, Dr. Francis, what's your number? Do you do telemedicine? Like, what do you do? Like, can I come and see you? Because I love Dr. Francis. Marceau might not be a big fan of Dr. Francis, but hey, JB is a fan of Dr. Francis, and JB would love to see Dr. Francis. So then Dr. Francis told them that they're not open, which they are not, and I want them to stop pretending like they are. They're so transparent. No, you guys are not transparent. We still, to this day, don't know very much about Tiffany or Lewis. Do I care that we don't know much about Tiffany and Lewis? Absolutely not. But what I care about when it comes to Tiffany and Lewis and this whole transparency thing is the fact that y'all are so transparent, but we don't know anything about y'all, but y'all want to give unsolicited advice to other people as if y'all are the perfect people, the perfect couple, the perfect marriage. Y'all are not. Y'all are not. And don't sit here and say, well, we did the work before we got married. What work? How did you do the work if you surprised your groom with the wedding? Inquiring minds would love to know that. But you guys, that's the episode. It wasn't much to it. I know going into this episode I had so much anxiety, but watching this episode, it was cool. It's gonna get more toxic as the season goes on. I know I'm gonna have to go in on Maurice when he was talking about he wants sex every day. Negro, if you don't get some Vaseline, some lube, some whatever, and get your hand, lefty or righty, chokey your meat, and go to town. Like, why do you feel like Kimmy should have sex with you every day? Baby, I would divorce him. I wouldn't have even married Maurice. Let's keep it real. Seeing what we're seeing now with Maurice, I would have never married. If I was Kimmy, I would have never married him. He is just like his brothers. That apple don't fall far from the tree. And then you guys know we're going to get the whole altercation with Martell, whoever, Miss Wanda, all of them. I am so not ready for that altercation. I'm not ready for that, you guys. I thought Valentine's Day was a mess, but this right here is gonna be a hot, holy hell of a mess, you guys. But we got back for Love and Marriage Huntsville, and we gonna rock and roll, you guys. I do like Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's just my thing with Love and Marriage Huntsville is how toxic the fandom can be, as well as how toxic the cast is. And also, you guys, going forward, I feel like not necessarily to this week, but what I might do going forward is, because you know the cast always go live after the episode. So if there's stuff so now that we're back with Love and Marriage Huntsville, if things happen throughout the week, what we'll do is, instead of me, making a long ass making this review like super duper long, what we'll do is we will do the review, just strictly talk about the episode, and then Sunday morning, what we'll do is we'll go live, we'll discuss whatever happened over the week, and that's how we'll do it. You guys like that? Let me know in the comment section if you like it. But that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Drop down in the comment section and leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on your post notifications, and also you guys share the video. And until the next time, you guys, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.